So this was a video that I was actually very hesitant to do. Like I've been contemplating it for a long time now. And I was very hesitant because like it's a bit of a sensitive topic, and I was worried it would like kind of reflect a negative image upon me. Yeah, and that if others knew, they would bully me and such. But I feel like I have to get it out there because it's really important for some people to know. You might not be able to relate to it, but it's important you know that this happens and has happened. I was considered like a sort of special kid for a really, really long time. My parents, they're the greatest people in the world. They were fighting for me, fighting their lives off against the school department for all the way up to middle school. Here's the backstory. So back when I was in like elementary school, you know, like I've had a bit of social issues, social problems with other people. And like, you know, just like hard time connecting with others. I would do a bit of silly things and such. And my mom, like for a short period of time, she worked at the school that I was in. And she started to notice something really strange in grade 2 when, like, you know, other people would be sitting like by themselves with no problem, but I would be placed at the very back of the class. You know, I would be placed at the very back, or I would like, you know, there would be someone helping me, you know, because I was regarded as a special kid. Yeah, she found that pretty upsetting. And then, you know, had a talk with the principal, and the principal wasn't very compassionate and said that, you know, I had to, you know, because I was being eccentric and all that. So then, you know, they needed to put me in this condition. Grade 3, like the principal was even meaner to me than grade 2. And my parents, you know, they just kept fighting for me over and over. And at first I was like kind of really mad at them because I had a group of friends that I really, really liked hanging out with after school. And like, you know, me constantly having to move schools prevented me from being able to make stable connections with my friends. And so then I was always regarded as the new kid and not knowing how to make friends and all that. I'm not blaming them. It's partly my fault. Yeah. But then yeah, this happened. Grade 4 was okay. But like, you know, I think it was like in grade 8 too. It was like, when I was like placed with Zach, I'm not going to mention my bully's real name. I was also eccentric, and the principal suggested that I be placed into a program, you know, like for the special needs people and such. And it wasn't like I was behaving really stupidly. I was a little eccentric. I was like, you know, I would occasionally say some dumb things, just a bit of social problems, but they exaggerated it to make it seem far worse. Like I don't know what to speak, like I'm retarded, basically. So, you know, when I told, you know, my parents that I was doing counseling, like, cause you know, I do go through depression from time to time and like a bit of anxiety. You know, they're very, very skeptical. And like, I didn't know why until like last October when my mom finally broke down, and it kind of makes her cry every time she talks about it. It kind of makes me cry too, like not on the outside, but emotionally it kind of hurts and stings. Because because worried that the counselor would actually like, put me in a program or do something far worse. And my dad told me a story like back when like, and let me tell you, so it's like back in Manitoba, like, this was around 2006 or 2007. My dad used to like be a security guard. While he was in college, he would work part-time as a security guard, and he would guard this person named Mike. Now, the backstory was Mike used to be like, he was actually really smart, and he would be like, he almost looked exactly like me, which was a little terrifying. I'll tell you why in a second. A little terrifying because Mike went to this prestigious university. Mike, like, he got good grades. He seemed smart, but he had a bit of anxiety. So then what happened with Mike was, he decided to go see a counselor. And like the counselor at first referred him to a doctor, just to like relieve a bit of anxiety. But then like, the doctor kind of exaggerated it and then like made him put him into like, like to see a pediatrician and such. And I don't know the full details, but I do know that let's just say it got so like it got so out of hand that now he spends like he's almost like imprisonated 7 days a week, 24 hours a day by 6 guards. So it's like in the morning, afternoon, and evening, there are specific people and doctors who have to look over Mike. And he's locked in this tiny room under constant supervision. Whenever he wants to eat something as simple as McDonald's chicken nuggets, he has to get permission from people. And it's like these people, there's some people down like below his apartment who's really condescending and like they treat him nice on the surface, but at the like in the reality, like they're really like, and they eat his food and such. And if he wants, even his parents can't even send him money because it would get intercepted by some people. It's like he's regarded as he has no stable control in his mind. Like, because once the doctor says signs a note saying you're mentally unstable, you're done for, basically, you're toast. And yeah. And like now, Mike, I'm not going to make fun of people with Down syndrome. You guys shouldn't. I'm not, this is a little sensitive, but Mike looks like someone who has mental problems and Down syndrome. I'm not making fun of Down syndrome people here. Like, please don't get me wrong on that. I apologize if this offended you. I'm probably going to put a bit of a trigger warning in the title of this video. He looks like someone who has Down syndrome. And like the reason why is because I think in the process of him going to see a doctor or from counseling and such, they gave him a sedative that I think is supposed to make you less stressed. And the sedative makes him like, like it's apparent, sedatives, like, they slow your brain down. And if used in frequent amounts, they actually damage nerves in your brain and such. And that's apparently what happened. So it's like, I think it's, and why do they do that? Like, the government is a little, not all governments are like this, but the government could be a little corrupt sometimes. One example is legalizing marijuana. The other example is basically, like why do they do this to people like Mike? And this could have happened to me. I could have easily followed in his footsteps if the direction of my life went a little differently. It's because so they could give certain people like my dad jobs. So they could give certain people jobs and make money off of it. And then people on the surface, people like, oh, this is good. You're taking care of people of special needs. But what if I told you some of these people originally weren't in need of special needs, but look what happened, you know? Now, I'm not saying like if someone is truly, truly in need of like special care, then like, you know, by all means go for it. But that's not 100% of the case. Most time it is, but occasionally it isn't. There was this play that I saw like 2 years ago, and it kind of reminds me of this. There was this play where like it was meant to be comedic. So let me just summarize the plot for you. It was like this guy was basically there was this guy that was basically what was it? He worked a long day, and he drove like, I think he drove a bike, rode a bike and such. And I think his job was a chef slash delivery person. Okay. This is a story. This isn't real. Then one day, you know, he comes across these scammers who he doesn't know are scammers. For the sake of remembering these names, let's call this character Josh. Okay, I don't know if that's his real name, but let's call him Josh. Okay, and there's two scammers. These scammers have scammed people all the time. You know, that's how they make money. That's because that's what scammers do. So then like these scammers say like, you know, they were told him that we are able to tell that you are a chef. And how do we know? It's like, because I could look you in the eye, I am special. I could look you in the eye and know your occupation immediately. So I know you. So it's like he says this to Josh, but in reality, it's because he could smell like, you know, the food sense off Josh, you know, because like if someone's been cooking all day and then they come home, you could smell their scent and then know that they've been associated with food all day. But like he said, Josh, I know you just by looking at you. I can tell you're a chef. And then Josh immediately goes to trust him. And he says, man, your leg must be tired after standing all day and chopping like onions and such. You know what? Go relax your leg. And then he's like, and then it's a little hard to display on camera, but it's like, and it's like, bang your foot down here and see if it hurts. And then, you know, if everyone bangs their leg on the floor really hard, it would hurt, like, because that's just the laws of physics. And, you know, he does that and finds out it hurts. And then like the guy says to Josh, see, your leg is in pain. But like, guys, seriously, if anyone did that, their leg would be in immense pain. And then like, Josh is like, wow, you really know me. My leg, it really hurts. And then the guy, like, long story short, they were able to eventually seduce him and sell crutches to him. The Chinese term for this, I don't know how to say it in Mandarin, but it's like selling crutches to a completely not disabled person. And that's kind of what like sometimes the government does, and sometimes the like evil counselors do. It's like they try to seduce people. Not all of most of them don't, but occasionally a few do. It seduce people into thinking they're in need of tremendous help just so they can open jobs for others who to get more money. So then like they take away Josh's bike and sell some crutches, and the scammers make money. And in a separate show, I haven't seen this one yet, but they sell a bike to, I think, someone who owns a car. And like, you know, they seduce into thinking, you know what, you need a bike. I don't know how they do it, but like, I think they have their ways. So just goes to show every rose can have a thorn in it. And therapy, from my personal experience, like, so I was able to eventually convince my parents that, you know, these counselors are not like that, and I'll actually be careful. So I did have a therapy session within the last year. I'm not going to specify the exact dates. And it went okay. But I was a little careful in case the sign of something was wrong. And luckily for me, it wasn't. But the other thing is like, counseling is not my favorite thing, just because it's like, the metaphor I use is it's like a band-aid who that like, you know, it's there with you when it's with you, but when you take it off, the pain starts coming back again. It's like the metaphor is like putting your hand in an ice box, and then when you're not with your counselor, you take it away, and then it's like the pain comes back, basically, you know, and it's like it goes on for a few sessions. And then, yeah, go for counseling all that you like. But for me, I'm just telling you why it didn't work and I don't favor it so much. Yeah, but if you're in need of talking to someone, go to counseling if you feel it's right. But I'm just saying why it might not to me and for a few other people. So yeah, the main theme of this video is just, you know, every rose could have a thorn in it. Let's go off with a few more examples, okay? So like there was this story I heard like that came from about 100 years ago. Like I'm pretty sure this is true. Like around the year 1898, there was this really pretty waitress, okay? And then she worked in this bar where a lot of 21 to 30-year-olds would go after a hard day of classes, or like, you know, or ever a hard day of classes or a hard day of work. And the majority of the people who went to this bar were apparently single men looking for someone to date. And this girl apparently treated everybody very nicely, gave everyone smiles and such. And like, you know, like a lot of those guys, they gave a really big tip at the end to her. And they like internally, they thought like they had a chance. They thought they had a chance to like, to actually get to be her boyfriend. But what they didn't know was she was already married and had kids. And apparently within a few years, she became like a millionaire, actually. And she left, and, you know, she like bought a really good house with to live with her husband in and such. So basically seduced those people, you know. There's another story I want to give to you. So I'm sure you've all seen this, like when you went grocery shopping, or like, you know, you went to Walmart or like wherever and such. And there's always this, would you like to donate to BC Children's Hospital, or would you like to donate to people with heart disease or such? And oftentimes when you say no, you know, you're deemed as a really bad person because it seems like you don't care about sick children and you hate them. But like, and like one time I think someone tried to give me a guilt trip once when I said no. But it's like, you know, the thing is, how do you even know that the money goes to the sick children? You know, how do you know that it goes to people toward heart disease? There's some people out there who try to get your sympathy to end up donating and contributing. It's what I call the personality weakness effect. This is a term I made up. And like, if you want to ask me, getting people's sympathy to like trick them to do something you want is actually 100 times worse than simply not donating to sick children. That, I think, is, you'd say that you try to get this, and like 99% of people would say I'm the better person, the person trying to scam me into loaning money to like something that probably doesn't even go to like those supposedly in need. I just plan to, you know, work really hard and then get a really good job, and then I'll just be able to make more money, so I pay a greater tax contribution, and those sick children will actually be able to get their needs. Problem solved. So personality weakness, you know, it's like I used to fall victim to this all the time until about like 3 years ago, and now I'm a little more cautious. I'm not saying don't trust people, but just be aware. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's basically all I really wanted to say. Yeah, I hope this video has been insightful for you guys. I'd love to stay, but for now, I gotta jump. I'll see you guys on the other side of the bridge. Catch you next time.